Hello, crafters. This is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing two clean and simple Christmas cards featuring just a little bit of heat embossing, a little bit of coloring, and some watermark stamping. These cards use brand new products from Simon Says Stamp. All supplies are linked in the video description below if you'd like to check any of them out. Let's make a start. I'm using a stunning vertical sentiment stamp from the new Holiday Greetings Mix 1 stamp set. It reads Merry and is surrounded by beautiful branches and leaves. I've added Wishing You A above the Merry and Christmas below the Merry to create one beautiful sentiment for my card. I'm using my Mini Misty stamping tool, and my plan is to heat emboss this image, or rather these images, onto a panel of white cardstock. I've already treated the paper with anti-static powder to prevent embossing powder from sticking where it's not wanted. I've inked up the stamp with clear embossing ink, and I stamped it onto the panel. I'm using my all-time favorite antique gold embossing powder to cover the image, and once that is done, I'm preheating my heat tool to melt the powder and set it in place. This is one of the most beautiful designs I have ever seen. It's very modern, it's very simple, yet very classy. I think I'll be using this sentiment a lot this year for my holiday cards, and probably even in the years to come. It's just that pretty. I'm seriously in love with the sentiment. There's actually a coordinating background stamp. Isn't that funny? We're like used to having coordinating dies, but there's a coordinating background stamp this time from Simon called Leaves and Berries, and it features the same imagery filling the entire background. So it's a large 6x6 background stamp, and therefore you can use it for either landscape or portrait cards, or perhaps you like to make larger square cards. You can use it for that as well. I have already heat embossed a couple of backgrounds just to see how the stamp would look, and it does look simply stunning. Now, I didn't quite like how the embossed background looked with the embossed sentiment. I actually felt like there was just a little bit too much shine, if you know what I mean. So I opted to do tone-on-tone stamping for the background with the help of a watermark ink pad and red cardstock. This gave me a much more subtle background with the exact same design. So the design of the background still coordinates with the design of the sentiment. I went back to my sentiment panel and trimmed it down slightly. I took about a 1/4 inch on each side. Next, I rubbed the edges of the panel with embossing ink pad and dipped the edges into same antique gold embossing powder to create the illusion that this panel was dipped in gold paint. I love this trick. It's one of my favorites to sort of frame a panel. I quickly heat set the powder with my heat tool to melt it in place. I knew I wanted to color the berries and leaves, so I used some of my favorite coloring mediums. I used a red pen from Jane Davenport to quickly color the berries. You can, of course, use a Copic marker for this. I personally prefer the pen as it gives me a much more brighter, vibrant red. But like I said, you can use a Copic marker or a pencil, or maybe even your Nuvo drops to create dimensional berries right away. Now to color the leaves, I used my go-to green combo of YG03, G97, and G99 Copic markers. I was careful to color next to the heat embossing, but if you are afraid to color with your Copics over heat embossed images, I have a video tutorial showing a workaround it. You can first stamp the image, color it, and then heat emboss it. I'll link that video here if you'd like to watch it. Having colored the panel, I adhered the background to an A2 white card base. I foam mounted the sentiment panel over it, and then I used glossy accents to add dimension to the berries. It's very subtle, it's barely visible, but it is there, and it adds a nice finishing touch to the card, especially a tactile effect. When you slide your fingers across the sentiment panel, you can definitely feel that dimension from the glossy accents. I also recreated the same design, but used green cardstock for the background, and it ended up looking fabulous. I think I like the green card better. Let me know in the comments below if you like the red or the green. There are a lot more new products from Simon in this new release, and I encourage you to check them out. There's a link in my video description below. I hope you'll give this idea a try. If you do make a card inspired by this video, I'd love it if you shared your project online and tagged me on social media. I always love seeing what you guys make. Thanks so much for stopping by. Love you guys. I'll see you next time.